Today there are a lot of interesting updates from the Kursk direction. Here, scattered Russian and North Korean remnants remain under a grueling siege in Nikolske, with no way for Russians to resupply them. As Ukrainians were busy making sure no additional supplies would reach the beleaguered forces, North Koreans decided to make a run for it, ending in disaster as Ukrainians unleashed their drones to hunt everyone down. As you remember from the previous report, remnants of the last North Korean assault had taken up positions in parts of Nikolske, but found themselves cut off from supplies due to complete Ukrainian fire control over the Russian ground lines of communication into the settlement. In an attempt to lift the siege on the North Korean soldiers, Russian Marines launched a large failed mechanized assault over the frozen fields, trying to resupply their cut-off allies, as the survivors of this assault only put a larger drain on the already limited supplies in Nikolske. The main goal of the Ukrainian forces is to wear down the North Korean forces in Nikolske and completely starve them of food, water and ammunition, while not allowing Russians to resupply them. This is the most efficient approach for the Ukrainians, as they can wear down the North Korean forces over time without sacrificing valuable manpower and equipment to clear them out of the settlement. Ukrainians have the advantage of time, as the North Koreans, in their current predicament, pose no threat at all to Ukrainian positions and the overall defensibility of the northern Kursk salient. To maintain their advantage, Ukrainians reinforced their defenses by supplying their firing positions with sufficient anti-tank guided missiles, drones, and general infantry equipment. Furthermore, Ukrainians had to ensure that no additional supplies would reach the enemy in Nikolske and intensify their targeting of Russian rear positions and supply lines. If Ukrainians can interdict enough Russian supplies moving to the front line, Ukrainians would suffer a much lesser risk of Russians launching another resupply mission, as Russians would start suffering shortages themselves. However, geolocated combat footage published by Ukrainian drone operators reveals how Ukrainians first targeted the abandoned Russian vehicles still left scattered in the field after the last failed assault. These vehicles were filled to the brim with ammunition, food, water, and medical supplies, meaning that leaving them unexploded would risk those falling into the besieged North Koreans' hands. As the Russian and North Korean soldiers in Nikolske were becoming increasingly desperate, Ukrainians decided to make sure these vehicles were completely burned down, along with all the provisions they might have been carrying in them. Next, Ukrainian Special Forces operators showed their veterancy in conducting drone operations, as geolocated footage shows their drones laying in wait beside frequently used Russian supply roads for any Russian vehicle that might be passing by. This tactic saves the drone's battery, increasing the chance of conducting a successful strike, as the drone operators can even have multiple FPV drones laying in wait at the same time, taking control of them one by one as Russian vehicles move along the road. After 2 weeks without any resupply, some Russian and North Korean soldiers had run out of snow to eat and decided to try and make a run for it across the fields, desperate to escape the besieged settlement. Geolocated footage shows several groups of North Korean and Russian soldiers moving out of the settlement, hoping that small groups would avoid detection by the Ukrainians. Unfortunately for the Russians and North Koreans, they could not afford to wait for bad weather to hamper Ukrainian drone observation, as all of these groups were quickly detected and taken out by swarms of FPV drones. Overall, the Ukrainians effectively maintained their defensive advantage while denying any more Russian resupply missions into Nikolske. Any groups of soldiers that attempted to escape were promptly eliminated, dissuading any more soldiers from leaving the settlement as well. In the end, it matters little if the remaining Russians and North Koreans decide to escape or wait, as they increasingly become underfed, undersupplied, undermanned, and sick to the point where they won't be able to resist any coordinated Ukrainian counterattack, while Ukrainians will have no problem waiting just a little bit more. If you are against the invasion of Ukraine and you want to support the work that I am doing, consider subscribing to our own independent news website. Here you can find our exclusive strategic insights, comprehensive overviews of all fronts, and regular tactical analysis videos. By subscribing, you will not only show your support for this channel, but also help and defend independent journalism. The link to our website is in the description. Thank you for watching this report. and I appreciate everyone who stepped up to join us.